Welcome to Enstone. This has been home of the Enstone Formula One team for nearly 30 years. And over 900 employees now work for Alpine and call this place home. Ever since the Tollman days, this was an ideal place to be based because it was basically just 30 minutes away from Silverstone, which in the days when you could do unlimited amounts of Formula One testing, well, it's ideal. But you don't want to see just the outside. We're going to take an exclusive look inside. Let's delve deeper inside of an F1 car because right now we are in the machine shop. Pretty aptly named as we're surrounded by tons of really complex machines. There are two really key departments based here, fabrication and metallics. Now, metallics includes in the name for what they do. They produce metal parts of the car. Whereas fabrication, well, this differs slightly. They produce by hand the slightly more complicated parts of the car. Thinner, smaller pieces, we're talking exhaust, we're talking radiators, everything that needs to be done by hand to ensure that sense of accuracy and detail.
So where we are with the metallic departments, I'm the day shift team leader. So basically I look after all the machines we have here, all the jobs that go out, and basically plan the day-to-day running the machine shop. So our main metals are aluminium, pi and steel. So I would say probably 50% titanium, 30% aluminium and 20% steel. These 6 machines they all do different jobs, but they all work basically the same. So we do slightly smaller parts on these 6 machines. The larger 800s over there, which are technically the same machine, just slightly bigger. We do things like uprights. So suspension parts for the car we do over on those things. As you can see there, basically you've got the live tooling. So a tool there in a turret, which basically goes up and down. Then we have a bed that rotates in 5 axes, basically.
And so is that like eroding into the...
No, so there's a cutter. So basically there's a cutter in the spindle of this machine that spins extremely fast, which cuts the material away.
It cuts it in the shape that you need. And is the water just washing the bits away that you don't need?
It's both. It's cooling the cutter down and obviously clearing the swarm.
What kind of thing might be made in here at the moment?
So at the moment, this is just a little insert, some composites parts. So a tiny little bit of aluminium. So we've got a very small job on this one. On this machine, we've got a slightly large, which is a lot more complex. So this one probably takes about 24 hours to machine in total. So this is a manifold, for a hydraulic manifold. So we go from tiny part over there, which is a little insert, composites, to a large, more complicated part. All we do in the machine shop is attention to detail.
Right.
So basically it's down to the machinist to make sure we're making it correct. So all the measurement. So some of the instruments for measuring the parts are there. And then we use the drawings to cross-reference.
That's a lot of drawings.
It's a lot of drawings. There's a lot of tied up parts. So on this, some of the tolerances are 0.01 of a millimetre. So extremely accurate. So, like I say, this is more of a manual job. So, very hands-on, where over there it's attention to detail, very tight tolerances, as opposed to in fabrication. Tolerance is slightly bigger, it's more manual. These are some of the bits they fabricate in-house, so pretty interesting. Like I say, it's more of an art form, so these are all made by hand. Failure at the track is the biggest thing, so this is why attention to detail is so important, because if we produce a part incorrectly and it doesn't get flagged up in inspection, then there is potential for failure at the track.
What is the kind of process you guys do when it comes to inspection? What are you looking for? How is it done?
So it's literally, it goes down to the inspection department. It's just basically a thorough inspection of the part, make sure it fits the tolerances on the drawing. So it's correct to drawing, basically.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That's really interesting. There is a lot of chat in F1 nowadays about wind tunnel time and how the FIA is restricting this. And when it's said that up to 80% of a car's performance comes from its aero, I think it's easy to see why. Right now we are in the model shop, and this is somewhere that you often don't hear about, but it's utterly crucial to getting the aero right on a Formula One car. Let's go take a look inside and see what it's all about.
Okay, so you are in the model shop of the Aerodynamics department. So Aerodynamics are charged with looking after the performance of the car, putting more downforce on the car, making sure all the cooling works, and all these other parameters. So how that works is we do an awful lot of simulation. So we use something called CFD. If you think of it as a wind tunnel in a computer, okay? So then we can put shapes into our computer wind tunnel and decide whether we think something is good or bad. We've had all these ideas which we've been through the computer, and they said, yeah, that's great, make the car faster. And then we turn that into a physical component, and then we will take it to the wind tunnel and we'll test these components. The parts of the wind tunnel are made of many different materials, but predominantly we use something called stereolithography. That's a very rapid process. So we use a laser which then cures resin, and it like grows these components. It's great. Yeah, it's really cool. And then those components will come up here, and we've got all of these model makers who will prepare all the parts. So that's quite a complicated process. Adding inserts, rubbing them, just making them perfect, if you like. And then we'll put all those together in an assembly. And then those assemblies will go to the wind tunnel, and we'll bolt them to the model and do a test, and ultimately, hopefully, we go, yeah, that was great, that's going to make the car faster. Within the tunnel, we effectively, it's like running the race car.
Okay.
So within the tunnel, we actually move it up and down, so like ride heights, and we can do steer, we can roll the car, so we can almost like send the car around the track. We will assess, at every point, we will assess whether we think that was a better thing or a worse thing. We use the CFD as our first filter, and then the things which we think are valuable in CFD, we will then make for real, if you like, and test in the wind tunnel. Often we will make more components than we need for the wind tunnel, so we've got options available, and if something's not quite checking out the way we wanted, we might go and look at a different variant of a similar thing. So in the aerodynamics department, there's about 150 people working flat out to try and give us the best car, as there are with most of the other teams. We're sort of similar sort of sizes. So it's really the level of energy and effort that goes into it. So we have some of the best brains, working on ideas. We have some of the best model makers here putting the parts together. And it's a whole slick organisation, if you like. And the other thing that I always find stunning is how quickly we go from an idea to a test to potentially something at the track. That process can be really fast. It depends on what we're doing and on how big the parts are, but we can turn an idea and get it to the track in a month, that sort of thing. So it's very rewarding for the engineers. If they design something, they'll see it on telly, potentially a month later.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.